You've been eating less, moving more, doing everything right, and the scale hasn't moved in weeks. Or maybe it went up. And your doctor looked at your labs, shrugged, and said, "Just eat healthy and exercise." Cool, super helpful. Here's the thing. If you have PCOS and insulin resistance, your body is literally working against the advice that works for everyone else. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why and what actually works instead. I want you to think about something for a second. Two women, same age, same height, same calories eaten every single day. One of them loses weight without much trouble. The other one? Nothing. Maybe even gains a little. Same food, same effort, completely different results. That second woman is probably you. And it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because your hormones are doing something very specific that makes normal weight loss advice basically useless for your body. PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, affects about 1 in 10 women. And the part that nobody talks about enough is that up to 70% of women with PCOS also have insulin resistance. Those two things together create a situation in your body where losing weight becomes genuinely harder than it is for most people. Not impossible, just different. So, I'm going to break down what's actually happening inside your body, why the things you've tried haven't worked, and the specific changes that actually move the needle for women with PCOS and insulin resistance. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about what insulin resistance actually is, because most people have heard the term but don't really get what it means for their day-to-day life. Insulin is a hormone your pancreas makes. Its job is to act like a key. It unlocks your cells so that sugar from your food can get inside and be used as energy. When you're insulin resistant, your cells stop responding to that key properly. The door won't open easily. So your pancreas thinks, okay, I'll just make more keys. And it pumps out more and more insulin trying to get the job done. Now here's where it gets bad for weight loss. High insulin levels tell your body to store fat, specifically to store fat around your belly. And high insulin also blocks your body from burning the fat it already has. So you've got this constant signal running in your body that says, store fat, don't burn fat, store fat, don't burn fat. On top of that, high insulin makes you hungry. Not a little hungry, like intensely, unreasonably hungry a couple hours after eating. And it makes you crave sugar and carbs specifically because your cells are starving for glucose even when you've eaten plenty of food. So let me paint the picture for you. You eat breakfast, your insulin spikes. Your cells don't respond well. More insulin gets pumped out. That insulin tells your body to store what you just ate as fat. 2 hours later, you're starving again and craving something sweet. You try to fight the craving. Maybe you win, maybe you don't. Either way, your body is in fat storage mode basically all day. And this is happening on top of the PCOS hormonal chaos. Elevated androgens, irregular cycles, possible issues with cortisol and other hormones. Your body is not in a neutral state. It's in a state that actively fights weight loss. And this is why cutting calories alone doesn't work well for you. You can eat 1,400 calories and still not lose weight if those calories are constantly spiking your insulin. The amount of food matters less than what that food does to your hormones. So, what does work? Let's go through this piece by piece. The first and most important thing is managing your blood sugar, not just lowering calories. The goal is to stop the constant insulin spikes throughout the day. When insulin stays lower and more stable, your body gets a chance to actually burn fat instead of storing it. Your hunger becomes more manageable, your cravings become less intense, everything gets easier. The way you do this is by changing how you eat, not just how much. Protein is your best friend. I cannot stress this enough. Protein does not spike insulin the way carbs do. It keeps you full for longer. It helps maintain your muscle mass, which matters because muscle is what keeps your metabolism from slowing down. And when you eat protein with every single meal and snack, it slows down how fast sugar gets into your blood from the other food you're eating. Aim to make protein the first thing you think about when planning any meal. Before you think about the carbs, before you think about the vegetables, what's your protein? Eggs, chicken, fish, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, tofu, legumes. Get at least 25 to 30 grams of protein at every meal. This one change alone will make a noticeable difference in your hunger levels and energy within the first week. The second thing is being strategic about carbs. Not eliminating them, being strategic. Low-carb diets can work really well for insulin resistance, but they're not the only option, and they're not easy to stick to long-term. What matters more than going super low-carb is choosing the right carbs and pairing them correctly. Refined carbs: white bread, white rice, pasta, pastries, most cereals, fruit juice, soda. These spike your blood sugar fast and hard. Your insulin shoots up in response, and you're back in fat storage mode. Swap these for slower carbs, things like sweet potato, oats, lentils, beans, whole grain options, and most vegetables. These digest more slowly and cause a much gentler blood sugar response. And even when you eat slower carbs, always pair them with protein and fat. Never eat carbs alone. A piece of fruit by itself, blood sugar spike. That same piece of fruit with a handful of almonds and some Greek yogurt, much slower, much gentler. The protein and fat slow everything down. This is called food pairing, and it's one of the most practical tools you have. The order you eat your food also matters, and this one surprises a lot of people. Research has shown that eating vegetables first, then protein and fat, then carbs at the end of the meal can reduce your blood sugar spike by up to 30%. You're eating the same food, just in a different order. Vegetables, then protein and fat, then carbs last. Try it for a week and see how different you feel after meals. Now, let's talk about movement, because exercise is important for PCOS and insulin resistance. But the type of exercise matters a lot more than most people realize. Long cardio sessions, like running for an hour, spending an hour on the elliptical every day. These can actually raise your cortisol levels. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and in women with PCOS, cortisol tends to already be elevated. High cortisol worsens insulin resistance and increases belly fat storage, so doing tons of cardio every day, especially if you're already stressed and not sleeping well, can actually make things worse. What works really well for insulin resistance specifically is strength training, lifting weights, resistance training, body weight exercises. Here's why. Your muscles are one of the biggest consumers of glucose in your body. When your muscles are active and developed, they suck up blood sugar without even needing insulin to do it. This directly improves insulin sensitivity. The more muscle you have, the better your body handles blood sugar. You don't need to become a bodybuilder. 3 times a week of real focused strength training is enough to see a meaningful difference. Full body workouts, squats, deadlifts, lunges, rows, push movements. Compound exercises that use multiple muscle groups at once. You'll see changes in your body composition, your energy, your mood, and your insulin sensitivity within a few weeks of being consistent. Add 2 days of lower intensity movement, walking, cycling, swimming, yoga, to help with cortisol and overall metabolic health. But keep the intense cardio sessions short if you do them. 20 to 30 minutes of high-intensity cardio a few times a week is plenty. More is not better when cortisol is a concern. There are also a few supplements that have actual evidence behind them for PCOS and insulin resistance. I'm not talking about miracle supplements, just things that have been studied and shown to help. Inositol, specifically a combination called myo-inositol and D-chiro-inositol in a 40-to-1 ratio, is probably the most well-researched supplement for PCOS. It improves insulin sensitivity, supports more regular cycles, and can help with androgen levels. A lot of women with PCOS report noticeable changes in their hunger, energy, and cycles within a couple of months of taking it. It's worth talking to your doctor about. Magnesium is another one. Most people are low in magnesium, and it plays a role in blood sugar regulation. Low magnesium is linked to worse insulin resistance. It also helps with sleep and stress, both of which directly affect your hormones. Berberine has been studied quite a bit for insulin resistance and gets compared to metformin in some research. It works similarly by improving how your cells respond to insulin. Again, talk to your doctor before adding this one especially because it can interact with medications. And then, just plain old vitamin D. Women with PCOS have higher rates of vitamin D deficiency than the general population, and low vitamin D is connected to worse insulin resistance and worse PCOS symptoms overall. Get your levels tested and supplement if you need to. Sleep and stress. I know everyone mentions these, but I'm going to tell you specifically how they connect to what's happening in your body. One night of poor sleep, like sleeping only 4 to 5 hours, can temporarily create insulin resistance similar to being pre-diabetic. One night. This is because sleep deprivation raises cortisol and disrupts the hormones that regulate hunger, especially one called ghrelin, which spikes when you're tired and makes you crave high-carb, high-sugar foods. If you're sleeping 5 or 6 hours a night and wondering why you're always hungry and not losing weight, there's a very real biological reason. Sleep is not optional when you're dealing with insulin resistance. 7 to 9 hours, as consistently as possible, as non-negotiable as possible. Your hormones regulate themselves during sleep. Your body repairs. Your insulin sensitivity resets somewhat. It's genuinely one of the most powerful things you can do. Stress management matters for the same reason. Cortisol. Chronic stress means chronically elevated cortisol, which means chronically worsened insulin resistance and more belly fat storage. I'm not going to tell you to just stress less, because obviously, but deliberately building in things that lower cortisol. 10 minutes of walking outside, a few minutes of slow breathing before bed, reducing caffeine if you're having more than 2 cups a day, protecting time that's actually for rest. These things have a real metabolic effect, not just a psychological one. Let me bring this all together into something you can actually use starting this week. Focus your meals around protein first. Get 25 to 30 grams at every meal. Pair every carb with protein and fat. Eat your vegetables before your carbs. Choose slower carbs over refined ones most of the time. Don't eat carbs alone. Do strength training at least 3 times a week. Walk or do light movement on the other days. Keep intense cardio short if you do it. Prioritize sleep like it's a medical requirement, because for your body, it basically is. Work on stress actively, not as an afterthought. Look into inositol and magnesium, talk to your doctor, and get your vitamin D levels checked. And here's the most important mindset shift I want you to take from this video. You are not failing at normal weight loss. You are doing normal weight loss with a body that requires a different approach. Once you match your strategy to what your body actually needs, things start to move. It takes longer than it does for someone without insulin resistance. That's real, and I'm not going to lie to you about it. But it does work. The science is there. The approach is clear. You just needed someone to actually explain it to you. If this helped you understand your body better, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.